Hi everyone, it's Teresa with Crafty with Teresa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, first I want to welcome, I have some more new subscribers. So I want to welcome you, and then I also want to thank those that have been supporting my channel along the way today. So today we'll be using the items from the paper pumpkin kit called Farmhouse Florals. There are 3 card designs in the kit, and it makes 9 cards. However, I'm going to focus more today on the alternates. You'll see some of the supplies that I'll be using. I'll also show you what cards I've already created using the directions from the kit as well. We'll go over some tips along the way to make the alternates. Now, I may not get all the processes done in this video today, but I hope to be able to show you some of the finished cards. A few disclaimers. Lighting was a challenge for me. For those that don't know, my setup has to be taken down each day, as I have kiddos that are at my house all the time, so I don't want them tripping over cords or knocking something over. I hope to one of these days find a way to get the equipment more stationary, but for now, this is what I have to do. So you'll see some lighting variations depending on what time I took the video and depending on what light I had available at that time. These cards are somewhat of a craft my stash, but you know, if you've been watching me, I'm all about options. You'll see quite a few tips today, including some doodling fun. So, enough of my chatting. Let's get to crafting. Now, the first card we'll look at today, we'll call that the typewriter card. I'm actually doing these a little bit out of order, and I'll explain that to you as I go, but the typewriter card, I think, seemed to be the easiest to start with. I try to think about beginners, intermediates, and advanced when I'm going through and making these cards, so I feel like this is the easiest for the quick and easy card for even a beginner. Of course, I want to reiterate that I think all these cards are perfect whether you're a beginner or not to send out. Now I'm grabbing the supplies from the typewriter card. I've already taken the stamps and placed them on my blocks. I've got all my supplies. I've got my Secret Sea ink. And I'm going to go ahead and set this up, and we'll start with the inking. Now I have a scrap piece of paper there, and I'm going to put that in between my card base because I want to ink up those. I don't know exactly what they're called. They're just like dots, but I love them because they add so much texture to the card. Now you will see that I am stamping over the typewriter that's on the front of this card. However, it doesn't matter because I'm actually going to place the die cut or ephemera on top of it so you won't even see that. I grabbed a post-it note because the one thing I also want to do here, the card that I'm looking for is a birthday card. And so I want to put a sentiment or statement right there on the front. So I've left that little opening over there on the right of this card. Apologize. I know my head gets in the way a couple times in this video, so there's another disclaimer for you. Now I've got the cute little piece of typewriter paper, we'll call it. We're going to add the words to say on the right hand side, and then on my cute little typewriter paper, we're going to add just a note. Now I'm not finished with this card yet. It's simple and it's easy, but it is going to be a birthday card. So I grabbed the floral design that's in the stamp set, and I'm going to put that floral design stamped in Secret Sea ink to the left hand side of the sentiment And then I have a happy birthday that I use quite often, and we'll put that on the inside next to that floral arrangement. I apologize, that's not on the tape here in today's video, but it's just a simple craft my stash item. I'll add the dimensionals to the typewriter, both to the bottom of the typewriter and to the top of the note. And now, here we have it, our first card done. Now here I decided, let's make this card a little different, but again, super easy and very little effort, but looks like you spent a lot of time on it. So the tote itself is super easy to duplicate, and you're going to see in just a bit that I do that with the tote. I believe so far I have 6 or 7 of these cards done already. Now I decided to use the card base itself, and we'll make what I'll call a split card. Now the next card we'll work on, I'll call it a tote card. I'll grab my trimmer. Now initially when I cut down this side piece, I had cut it to 1 1/4, but in the end I do change that to 1 because I made a decision along the way after I'd made that first cut that I wanted a little bit of another color to separate that in the back. So I grabbed some craft cardstock and I looked for about 1/8 of an inch. I just wanted that little bit so that you could tell that there was a separation between the tote. Here's where you'll see that I did duplicate the totes. At one point I thought about adding that tote onto the top and putting some dimension on it, but I changed my mind and decided to leave this card as is, as a split card without the tote on top, and then I just made additional cards with those additional totes that I made. So I'm kind of thinking through this, thinking, do I want to have that on the inside? Changed my mind, don't want that. So what I did now is I grabbed the ephemera or the die cuts that came with the kit. There's some I believe it's Coral Cove color. It's a coral color or that type of color. And then there are some yellow flowers, and I will add into the description box these colors just in case you have the markers or just in case you have the ink pads. So if you want to duplicate that, and you'll see in just a little bit, I am going to duplicate some of those flowers. So I decided on the 1 1/4 inch for the craft cardstock that I grabbed out of my stash. That'll be 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm going to cut down the piece that I had cut away from the top of the card base. And I'm going to cut that down to 1 inch so that there's just a little bit showing. Now here I'm going to fidget just a little bit trying to figure out how much of that do I want to show. I'll cut some of this out for you. You don't need to watch me struggle with that. But you will see that I do end up having to cut down that little strip to make that look like I want it to look. Next, I'm going to grab that ephemera and figure out where does it go. And the two smaller flowers, I'm going to go ahead and adhere those. In hindsight, I would have done this a little bit differently, but I wanted to show you here, there are notches on the top of those flowers, and it made it so much easier to line that up. I'm going to line that up, put a block on it, let it dry for just a second, because we'll eventually cut that off so that it fits on the other side of the split card. Now go ahead and adhere the craft stock with that right-hand side inch strip. Now I grabbed the little strip that came in the kit, and I grabbed my stamp block and the words "for you." Then I also grabbed a bit of that string, and I'm just going to put 2 loops together, tie it in a little bow, and adhere it to the top I decided I didn't want dimension, so I am going to take the little sticky dots and attach that to the back of the bow and put it onto the sentiment that says "For You." And this card will be finished. Take a look. Another option, if you want to duplicate the taupe and copy like I did earlier, I copied mine on some coffee paper, which I have a ton of, and I mentioned it in my last video. I have done a tips, trends, and technique video on how I create some coffee paper. You're welcome to do that or use what you have on hand. Now, earlier I mentioned I would have a few tips for you, so here are some of them. I did get quite a few of the cards finished, so you'll see them in and out of this video as I go. On the tote alternate, I just copied the tote design and added a floral design to the front. For the coloring, I'm sad to say that the Stampin' Write markers that I'm using here are going away once they're sold out. I love these markers because you can take the marker and use it on your clear stamp. But I'll now have to start restocking my supply with the Stampin' Blends. I know that everyone who has used the blends, they love them so much. So I know I'll be happy with them. So I'll take the stamp that came with the kit and I'll add the leaves. I didn't quite get it dark enough, so no worries. I'll darken the leaves using an old olive Stampin' Write marker. Now I'll also grab my Timid Tiger and my Darling Duckling markers, and that's what I'll use for the flowers. Oh, and a couple more appearances of my head in this video. So sorry. Oh my. Anyway, I'll ink up the word Simply the Best with Secret C ink, and now we'll add this to a card base. Now, I'm all about options. Here's a quick tip for you. I grabbed a scratch piece of paper from a previous paper pumpkin kit. I wanted to try to duplicate the bluish landing point that is on the tote card base. You'll see here that I used the swiping technique. It took a few tries, but I got one that I really like, and then I decided, okay, I like it, but I want to use it differently. So here's a look at how I ended up using that particular item. Now you'll see me fidget and fidget just a bit. This one was tough. I had to leave this overnight to think on it. And now take a look. Here is how this card actually turned out. Now, as we go through and make those duplicates of that tote onto that coffee paper, a thought came to me. Why don't I add a little bit more texture to it? So here's where the fun doodling comes in. So I grabbed my doodling pen and went to town. I've been around my grandkids so much, a song came to me when I said I went to town. You know that little nursery rhyme, Giddy Up Horsey, Go to Town? Oh my goodness. I am so ready to be doing this adulting fun like crafting. So anyway, I have a video out that goes over the doodling, but I'm going to go ahead and just show you a little bit about how I do this. I basically start with drawing a line. So in row 1, you see that I have a straight line and then a curve, and then I alternate that. I'll try to explain this, but it might be best if we just watch and then just go with your heart. So in row 2, I start with a curved line and then I alternate it with the straight line. It sounds complicated, but I promise you it really is easy. And you really can't mess it up because absolutely no one will know. They'll be so impressed that you took the time to do this for them and send them this handmade card. So I promise you, they probably won't even know that you fidgeted with this. So now I just keep playing around until I get the look I want, and now I like it. So I'll add those weave lines, the same process, alternate it back and forth. So here's a better look at the sample copy on white. I grabbed it so you could really kind of see it. And voila, here's the card I ended up making with that weave tote. So I do have a few extra cards. I showed some of them throughout the video, and here are some of the remaining cards that I made from this kit. So I want you to stay tuned if you would. I will have another masculine card coming out. It is part of a September card sketch challenge. I have a lot of birthdays in August, so I'm going to be busy with these birthday cards. So I also have an adorable scrapbook layout coming soon where I'm celebrating my lovely grandson. So just a hint, it's a part of the scrapbook layout sketch design challenge. Boy, those are hard words to say together. And I'm loving it because I'll use the pictures of him from 1 month all the way to a year in it. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. If you have a chance, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Hit the like and comment button. Oh, and share the videos. It really does help me a lot. So thanks again for joining me. Until next time, have a great day.